I'm Graeme Schnell. I'm the CEO of Focus on the Family Africa, but more importantly, I'm a husband to my wife Alison and the father of 3 gorgeous girls. I've got 3 kids, all girls and now all teenagers, and they mean the world to me. I think every dad dreams of having that boy, but that wasn't for me. But after, I think, by the time we were having our 3rd, even though maybe I was keen for that boy, when I found out it was a girl, I actually couldn't have been happier. I was obviously just designed to be a dad of girls. Yeah, I think your parenting has to change as the kids grow older, and so when they're younger, you have a lot more authority, control, and as they grow, there's a letting go that has to happen. I know Catherine Hill talks about parenting with elastic. There's something about a stretch that happens as they grow in independence, as they grow in responsibility, and so it certainly has changed. I think you become more of a coach than you are a teacher, and I think the important thing is keeping that relationship so that you can still have influence over the lives of your kids. The truth is, every phase, just when you feel like you've mastered one phase of parenting, then they age into a new phase and you're not ready for that. And so the teenage phase, I think the challenge for me has been, I got so used to kids, where you say, hey, should we play a game? And it's like, yes, let's play a game. And when they become teenagers and you say, oh, should we do something? Like, nah, I'm just going to go to my room. And so it's just been this change of, I'm so desperate to now want to connect with these kids, and they are developing their own interests and wanting time on their own. So probably that's been my greatest challenge, but just wanting to push through that and make sure that I still engage them as much as I possibly can. Sometimes that means having to drag them out of their rooms, but certainly I think just speaking to them and chatting to them about things that they're interested in helps to keep that relationship as well. Yeah, that's tough, and I don't know that there is a right answer to that question, because as a parent, obviously you want to keep your kids safe. But there's this reality that, as I said earlier, you've got to start letting them go. They are becoming more independent, and that's part of your role as a parent, to prepare them for the day that you're not around. But where is that line? I don't know the answer to that, and it's tough because you, I guess, just don't want to be on either extreme. You can't be naive and just let them do whatever they want, because it's a dangerous world. And so there's got to be boundaries and things that we put in place to keep them safe. But at the same time, you can't protect them and bubble wrap them, because they've got to live their lives. I think my wife finds this harder than I do. Even, they're going to be going somewhere with some friends, and who's driving them and how far they're going and are they on the highway? And the truth of the matter is, we've got to be able to let them go. So I think it's being intentional and pushing through the desire to just keep them bubble wrapped in at home, and recognizing that part of that role as a parent is to release, and as hard as that is, we've got to do that, but within an element of safety, still knowing who's driving, where they're going, having those boundaries about when they're back, etc. But where exactly that balance lies, I think that's for every parent to figure out. As I said, it gets harder, I think, as they become teenagers, because they're happy on their own. At least mine are. I'd say one of the key things is, relationship. It's recognizing that relationship is key. When you have relationship, you have influence, and so it's how do you build that relationship, and that comes with conversation. It comes with conversation that has to be centered around the things that they're passionate about, that they're interested in, rather than just giving them lectures, I guess. And I think probably 2 things that have really worked for us in our household. The one is the dinner table, and I think this is true for every household. I would say if you as a parent can prioritize eating together, that has such an impact, and there's lots of studies that show that to be true. It's not just our household, it's across the world even. So prioritizing having dinner together, because at those times, it's not like every time you have dinner there's going to be amazing conversation. Sometimes it's it's short and sweet, and then they're off to their rooms again. But sometimes you're able to just get an answer to a question around which boy they think is cute, or whether maybe there's a struggle going on with one of their friendships in school, or whatever it might be. And as you get into that conversation, you're learning a little bit more about where they're at, who they are, what they're struggling with, what their needs are, their deeper desires and passions and interests. So the dinner table is profoundly important. We found something to add to the dinner table, and that's the fire pit. We don't have a fireplace in our house, but in the sort of autumn, early winter season, we've just got a circle in the garden with a few chairs, and I'll make a fire quite often in the evening, and we sit around the fire. And there's something about sitting around a fire, maybe it's a South African thing, probably international, but it's mesmerizing looking at the fire, and you can be together without the distraction of the TV that's in the lounge, and we can spend extended times just in the circle, facing each other, having conversation, and that's really been an amazing thing for us as a family, to just build that connection and relationship. Well, we've had the discussion as a family actually about what are our values, and that's, I think, a really good thing to do as a family, so that it's not just, hey, this is what we have decided as the parents, and you need to toe the line. And we invited them into the conversation, and obviously we had influence over that, and we had our say as well. So the first one for us was faith. That was the most important thing as a value in our family. Family itself was a value that we said, hey, we're a family that loves to spend time together. We're going to do things together. We're going to go on holidays. We're going to have time together. And then things like honesty and respect, those became part of our values. But one that I think maybe specific to us was humor. We just decided that we want to be a family that laughs together. We want to be a family that doesn't take ourselves too seriously. So we have lots of laughs, and our kids are all pretty dramatic. I think they get that from their mother, and so we'll often be in hysterics while one kid tells a story of something that happens or happened at school. But it's not just a story, it's got to be acted out with great panache, and so humor is one of those values that we've enjoyed as a family. But I think the important thing is the question that you just asked: what are those values? For parents to think that through, and then to have the conversation, and so that the family can really be a part of that and buy into, hey, what makes the Schnell family? Who are we? What is important to us? Because that's pretty key, I think, for even their identity. I think that's been pretty easy for us. Fairly early on, our girls really developed a joy and a love for dancing, and so we encouraged that. But we were very open and flexible with them. We weren't saying, this is it, you're now committed to this thing, and that's all you're going to do. One of the girls for a season did something else, and then our youngest at some point said, you know what, she's actually really into sports, so she kind of gave up the dancing, and she's loving her sport. I think the critical thing is, as a parent, not placing on them the things that you valued highly. I loved sports as a kid, and I think our girls could have been really fantastic sports players, but because they really loved dancing so much and wanted to pursue that, they actually had to really give up sport because they were dancing 3 days a week, and being open and available to say, well, if this is the thing that you love, this is the thing that you're pursuing, we're going to back you in that, we're going to support you in that. And even if it means it's something that it's different from what I would have thought or what I enjoyed as a child, it's recognizing that this is an individual that has their own passions and their unique interests, and just being their biggest cheerleader, whatever that may be. And sometimes it's a journey, because you're figuring out what is it that they're good at, what is it that they love. I mean, we haven't always got that right. One of our daughters, we think, has got this beautiful singing voice, and as much as we've tried to encourage her, she's not taken to it as, hey, I want to be the next big singer. And so, yeah, it's figuring out how do we draw out those things and encourage them so that they do pursue the things that they really are passionate passionate about and are used by God in those areas that He's gifted them.